All right, let's get right into it. I want you to picture a huge sales conference. The room is buzzing. The VP of marketing is up on stage and he's got this incredible energy. He's about to make a point that no one in that room is ever going to forget. He calls up his top salesman, a guy named Harry, and has him stand right next to one of the average guys from the team. You can feel the whole room lean in. Something big is about to happen.
So the VP lets this question just hang in the air for a second. He tells the audience, take a good look at Harry. And then he asks this simple but kind of baffling question. How is it possible that this man earns 5 times more than the average person here? He makes it clear it's not because Harry is 5 times smarter. Nope, the company's own tests show his intelligence is pretty average. And it's definitely not because he works 5 times harder. In fact, the guy takes more vacation than most. So, what is it?
And here are the numbers that make this so real. At the time, the average salesperson in that room was making about $12,000 a year. You know, a decent living. But Harry was pulling in $60,000. That is not just a little bit more. That's a completely different life. The gap between them wasn't just some number on a spreadsheet. It was a totally different reality. And the secret to that gap had nothing to do with talent or just grinding it out.
And this, right here, is the answer the VP finally reveals. This is the big idea from David Schwartz's classic, The Magic of Thinking Big. The difference, the only real difference between the guy making 60 grand and the guy making 12 was the size of their thinking. But, you know, if it's really that simple, why isn't everybody doing it? Well, it turns out most of us, without even realizing it, are suffering from a really common, really subtle illness.
Schwartz actually gives this illness a name. He calls it the failure disease, and it is incredibly contagious. It's the #1 thing that keeps people from thinking big and really going after what they're capable of. It's a disease of the mind, and it's built on one single thing: excuses.
Let's be specific. He calls it Excusitis. You know, it's the habit of making excuses for everything. It's that little voice that explains away why you failed, justifies why you didn't even try, and basically guarantees you'll stay average. And the more you listen to it, the worse it gets, until your mind is just paralyzed by all the reasons why you can't succeed.
And you've heard the symptoms before, right? Maybe even from yourself. Oh, I'm not smart enough for that. I'd love to, but my health just isn't great. I'm too old to start something new, or I'm too young, nobody will take me seriously. Every single one of them sounds so reasonable, but really they're just roadblocks we build for ourselves. Just recognizing these excuses is the first step to getting cured. So what's the antidote? Well, it starts with the most basic tool you have.
So, if excusitis is the disease, where do we even begin to look for a cure? It starts with your language. Yeah, the words you use, both when you talk to others and when you talk to yourself, they aren't just describing your reality, they are literally building it.
Here's how it works. We don't really think in abstract ideas. We think in words and the images they create. The second you use a word, your brain creates a mental picture to go with it. So if you change the word, you change the entire picture. You change the feeling, you change the whole chain of thoughts that comes after it.
And you can see this in action right here. The small thinker says, "We've failed." What's the mental picture there? It's a dead end. It's over. But the big thinker says, "Here's a new approach." Suddenly the picture is about opportunity, a new beginning. One person is digging a grave for the idea. The other is building a launch pad. One sees a problem, this heavy, negative thing. The other sees a challenge, an invitation to step up. It's the same situation, but 2 completely different worlds, created just by changing a few words.
So, the takeaway here is huge. Your language is constantly broadcasting your expectations to yourself and everyone else. Words that promise victory and solutions, they create energy. They get people on your side. But words of defeat and negativity, they just suck the life out of the room. You can literally start to speak success into existence just by choosing the right vocabulary. Build castles with your words.
Okay, so once you've started to get a handle on your internal language, the very next step is to change your external vision. It's about training yourself to see not just what's right in front of you, but to see the hidden potential in everything. Now, this is not a passive thing. It's an active practice. Big thinkers make it a habit to look at any situation, any person, any object, and ask one simple question: how can I add value here? They are always on the lookout for ways to improve things, to make them better. They don't just accept reality as it is, they're constantly looking for an upgrade.
And this is super practical, not some abstract theory. It's a daily exercise. First, with things. Look at a product, a process, even a piece of property. Ask, how could this be improved? Second, and this is the big one, with people. Look at your team, your customers, your family. Ask, how can I help them grow? How can I help them be more effective? And finally, you have to turn that question on yourself every single day. What can I learn today? What skill can I sharpen? How can I make myself more valuable? This simple habit shifts you from being a spectator in life to being a creator. So we've talked about curing the failure disease, we've talked about changing your vocabulary, and about always adding value. Now let's put it all together and look at the two mindsets side by side. This is basically the playbook for mediocrity versus the playbook for success.
Just look at this contrast. It's the whole philosophy on one slide. The petty thinker, they see a limited future. The big thinker, they see a future that's full of promise. The petty thinker is always looking for ways to get out of work. The big thinker, they're actively looking for more to do, more ways to contribute. One sets the bar low, the other sets it high. And check out that last one about mistakes. The small thinker gets totally derailed by tiny errors blowing them way out of proportion. The big thinker, they know small mistakes are just part of the process. They keep their eyes on the prize. So, which column feels a little more like you right now? More importantly, which one do you want to live by?
This all leads us to the final, and I think maybe the most powerful idea in the entire book. Everything we've covered, your thoughts, your words, your vision, it all comes together in one single concept that honestly changes everything. I mean, think about it. The moment you interact with anyone, they're sizing you up. They're forming an assessment. And this isn't just about your salary. It's about the amount of respect people give you, the level of responsibility they're willing to trust you with, and all the rewards, financial and otherwise, that life offers you. We all have a price tag.
But here's the million-dollar question. Who is actually in charge of this valuation? Is it your boss? Is it your family? Is it just society? Who's the appraiser who decides what you are ultimately worth? The answer to this is the key to unlocking everything we've been talking about.
And there it is. You set your own price. The world, it pretty much just reflects back the value you've already assigned to yourself. The respect you get from others mirrors the respect you believe you deserve. The success you achieve is the success you truly believe you're capable of. It all starts inside your own head. So the final question isn't, what does the world think of me? It's, what do I think of me? Because in the end, that's the only appraisal that truly matters.